You can see that I've removed the music from the first level. I've got some music that I have got in mind for that, which I'll show you in a little bit.
I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video.
Before we get into the video, just a massive shout out to James Welch from my Patreon page. I really do appreciate all the support, and if you'd like to become a Patreon too, there's a link in the description. You can get yourself access to indie game assets such as free music, art assets, and I release all of my videos on my Patreon page before they air on my YouTube channel. Hello guys, welcome back. Devlog 14 of Orion's Throne. Level 1 is pretty much finished. I've had a few more people play test it, so thank you to Marlin Media and Wateep so far for giving it a run through and providing some feedback. I will be gathering some additional feedback before we make any further changes, but I have made a few little changes and I'll take you through some of the back end stuff today and show you how I've implemented some of that. Let me just hit play on the video. So I've got this little pixel art cursor now. This was a suggestion from Wateep, so thanks for that. Although you don't actively use the mouse cursor for pointing and clicking so much in the game, I may end up, if I push P to go into the menu, one second, get rid of this text first. If I push P to go into the menu, it may be worth having the arrow in here so you can click on some of these stuff, and at the moment you can see the arrow disappears because I've set the mouse cursor to none, and I haven't replaced it with that icon in this layout yet. But instead of being able to navigate through with the WASD keys, which aren't apparently obvious thanks to Marlin Media's playthrough, not figuring this out immediately, I don't know how intuitive that is. It might be worth having an option where you can point and click with the mouse as well, so that's possibly something that I will be looking to implement. Also, when we get to the second and third levels, there will be another character that you play with called Cowboy who will have a gun, so I don't know if I'm going to have the crosshairs in as the mouse control yet. I'm not sure how that's going to look in the top-down view or the side scroll view. I have designed the crosshair for this already. So if I double click on the sprite, the second frame is the crosshairs, so you can see how that would look in the game. So with the second character I may have this as the trigger, so left clicking to shoot enemies that come at you. I've added this ladder in at the background now, just for visuals, really nothing more than that. I figured that you start the level in a kind of corridor that has no way in or way out, so I figured that that ladder could represent the way she's managed to get down into this service area. You can see that I've removed the music from the first level. I've had a bit of mixed feedback on the music. I personally really like the song or the music that's being played. I know that my writer friend Pete also likes the music as well, but the feedback that I've got is that it's maybe a bit too epic for level 1, and maybe we should build up and use that music in a later scene when there's a bit more kind of going on and the story's built up to it a little more, which I kind of like the idea of. Maybe hold it back and have something a little bit more understated in the first level. I've got some music that I have got in mind for that, which I'll show you in a little bit. I've added back in the slight opacity to the air ducts when you walk under them. I was toying with that for a little while and feedback's been mixed, but I find that watching people play through it, when they would go into this side of the corridor, they'd lose the character potentially. So I think I like having it slightly see-through so that you can still kind of know where the character is. I've also changed the laser beams back to orange, and you get slightly different text now, and I think interacting with things is a little cleaner. You can play the radio now, which brings in another piece of music. I'm not sure I like it. It's just placeholder right now, but we'll see. Let's turn it off. So the way that looks in the event sheet, if I just minimize all these boxes here just for clarity, I've got everything in its own group, so I I can work with it better. So for the cursors, it's very simple. I've just set an on start of layout event that basically says set the mouse cursor to none, and then every tick, so every frame, we add that sprite there to the position of the mouse X and mouse Y. I've created a separate group just for the music, so for the level 1 music I've got on start of layout if the game is not already started, that way it doesn't repeat over itself. And remember, I set that global variable up at the beginning to determine whether or not we're starting the game for the first time. So if we're not starting the game for the first time, it doesn't play, but when we do start the game, it does. It was that music that you heard in the previous episodes, but I'm changing that, and I'm going to show you what that is in a second. So this is the track that I've got for the background music in level 1. So you can see it's a little bit more stripped back. It still gives a kind of dark, eerie kind of ambience to the level. But, you know, tell me what you think. There's that one, the original one I'll just play for you quickly. So this is what we had in place before. I mean, let's add it in. Let's add it in and see. So if I go over to my folders here, and I go to sounds, I can right click, I can import the sound, I can import the audio. It's on my desktop at the moment. Dark theme. Import. So all I want to do is go down here on the start layout. I want to play that sound, looping. So I need to go to my audio and play. And then these are all the audio tracks that I've got in for the sound effects. I'm going to play the dark theme, I'm going to play it looping, and I'm going to set the volume. 0 is a 100% volume, so I'm just going to drop it down by 10 decibels, and I'm going to call it level 1 in the tag because I refer to that tag in other parts of the events. So now if I play the game, tell me what you think in the comments. So let me just take you behind the scenes a little bit and just give you an idea of how I've been putting all of this stuff together. Obviously I've got my level 1 music here, but a lot of the sound effects happen when certain things are triggered. So for the dialogue triggers, for example, we've got certain sounds based on what's happening. The most noticeable one you'll see is the typewriter text. So I've got this effect here, the typewriter text effect, which you can hear, and that just loops at a -5 decibel for the amount of time it takes. Because I've got typewriter text on here, I can set the duration of how long I want it to be typed out, and then I can set the text, whatever that's going to be, and then I wait 1 second, and then because I tag it here with the tag text, I can then set just that specific sound effect to stop after the 1 second. So as long as it's 1 second, it's the same as the 1 second that it takes to type out, then it fits automatically the length of all the dialogues in the game, which is brilliant. On some triggers, the player gets to make choices. So for example, whether to play space attack or not, which is instance variable 12. So all of my dialogue triggers here have an instance variable, so this one is 12. So when I refer to that trigger, and I've got that in a group, everything in the employee lounge. So I've got my arcade cabinets. So this one here, when I interact with this trigger, because we have choices, we can say yes or no as to play. Whether I push the A or the D key, if we're within that sequence, we play this sound effect here, which is just that, not looping, at its current volume. And then I've put that in, and what I've done is I've gone into every single one of the triggers. So everywhere you see one of these little red squares here, even on the bins, everywhere you see an E, basically. Every time you see an E, it's basically is an opportunity to interact with the dialogue. I've gone into all of those one by one, and I've put in those sound effects, whether we're selecting yes or no, or whether we're just using the typewriter text effect. In terms of the opening sequence, I'm really not happy with the opening sequence at the moment. I've added a few more scenes in, but I think the pixel scaling is off. I've tried to cut corners, I think, a little bit and zoom in on some. So if I go to the first shot here, the pixel scale on this is if we go into opening sequence 1 event sheet. Yeah, so there's no pixel scaling on this, so when we play this scene,
in a distant expanse of space,
it looks pretty good. When we go into the second one, so when I play this scene, everything's twice the size.
The prisoner had no name.
So you can see, even on the bed, you
no
can see the little kind of imperfections there. So I think I'm going to redesign the whole thing and just put a little bit more care and attention into it. But I don't like how it zooms in and the pixels go double the size. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I mean, obviously at this point, done is better than perfect because I want to get a playable playthrough with something in there. What I want to depict is pretty much there. It's just I might need to go back and change a few things, but we'll see how that plays out. I mean, as you can probably appreciate, it's all just one big work in progress, and I guess you can be overly critical with your own work, I suppose, which is why all the feedback helps. Let me know if I'm kind of overthinking some of this stuff a little bit too much, or if it looks great, or whether my kind of thought process is along the same, or along the right sort of lines. But that's where I'm at with it anyway. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes in terms of the sound and the opening sequence as well. I'm still waiting on artwork to be finalised. There, we have found somebody to do the art, but I've had to do a few revisions. It's not quite exactly what I wanted, so I'm still waiting on the final pieces. So as soon as I get that back and we're happy with it, we'll show you guys exactly what we've got and what we paid for, and the quality of it. So I'm excited to see when that comes back. Those images will be used as part of the title sequence and potentially the opening title menu, or the main kind of menu. I have made a start on the second level, level 2B. So this is a vertical side-scrolling level here. So you can see Cowboy animated. He's got a gunshot animation with a little kind of muzzle flash. But again, I don't know if I want that to be controlled by the mouse. So when you click, he shoots. At the moment, it's controlled by just the up arrow key. You can't move up and down ladders yet. And again, the artwork's not finalised, and a lot of it's placeholder, just so I can kind of map out the level design. But effectively, depending on how you finish level 1, this could be potentially one of the second levels. I'm not going to tell you what it is or the context of it all, because that will somewhat spoil the story. You'll just have to play and find that out for yourself. But I'm happy with the way he animates. That is about all I've got going on in the last week. Still loads to be done, but I'm really excited at the way this is going. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Again, if you want to play test it, drop me a message in the comments below, because we are at that stage now where I just need other people to go through it that isn't me. And that don't know where all the little kind of hidden bits and bobs are, so I need to kind of find out how intuitive a lot of that is and what the kind of user experience is. I've already found bugs that I weren't aware of by watching other people play through, which has been hugely beneficial, so thanks for taking your time to do that if you've already played through it. And again, if you want to play through it, drop me a comment below and I can let you know where it's available. But I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you next week with another update on Orion's Throne.